Alright, I already have all of my perler bead pieces set up. I'm applying masking tape to them before I iron. That way the beads don't shift around while I iron them. I applied masking tape to every single piece that I have, making sure that they're not touching each other in the process. I flipped over each piece and took them off of my pegboards. That way I don't have to worry about my pegboards being ironed and getting warped. For larger pieces, I just sandwiched the project between two boards and flipped it over and then pulled out the pegboards individually. I set my iron to a pretty high setting. I found that 5 works best on my iron. It does depend on your iron though. And I evenly ironed both sides until they're very hot and melted. And then I placed the project under a heavy book because all of my pieces are going to be nice and flat. Now that I have all my pieces set up, it's time to start sewing. I cut out a piece of felt to the size that I would like the panel to be. And I began sewing each piece on individually, just around the border of the panel. This whole process took about 10 hours. It's very difficult to sew through these beads, especially when they're melted. I then trimmed each piece very close to the edge of the beads, but being sure not to cut any of the parts that I have sewn so that they don't fall off the fabric. Measuring it, it was around 30 inches, which is my waist. I measured out a nylon cord about 6 inches more to make sure I have plenty of space, and I burnt the edges to make sure it doesn't fray. I then attached one end of the parachute clip and began sewing my panels onto the belt. Now I decided to overlap my panels a bit. I overlapped by 4 beads for each panel. And you simply just sew each panel onto the belt all the way across. I left a space after the blue piece, which was going to mark the end of the front. I measured it about 2 inches to account for the buckle. At the very end, you'll put the other side of the clip for the parachute cord. To put on the skirt, you simply wrap it around and clip it using the parachute clip. Might have to adjust it to make sure it's straight, and then you're all done.